I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't have to prove anything to anyone. The only person that you have to prove anything to is yourself. And just know that in any video that I record, I'm always speaking to my younger self. These are things that I've struggled with, so don't ever feel like I'm talking down on you. This is just the things I wish I knew, whether this was last week or 2 years ago, 10 years ago. And I struggled with this a lot. For those of you guys who are new to my channel, hello, my name is Jasmine, and I'm so glad to have you. I always used to believe that I had to prove to other people that I was a good person, that I was a nice person, that I was worthy of friendship. I used to have to prove to people, that I am successful and, I'm great. But the reason why I felt like I had to prove things to people was because deep down inside, I didn't really feel that way about myself. I was insecure. I always used to need external validation. I always used to need people to like me. I couldn't sit with self. And I've said that in other videos. And I'm 35, by the way. So these are things that I was struggling with in my 20s. And I just couldn't sit with self. I couldn't just be okay with who Jasmine was. I always had to prove it. And honestly, the only thing that ever did was just make me more and more depressed. It made me resentful to people because I would think to myself, gosh, I'm trying to prove to them that I'm a good friend and they're still, treating me a certain way. Or, I'm trying to prove to them that I can show up for them. Why can't they show up for me? And again, I believe a lot of this just stemmed from insecurity. It stemmed from me not feeling like I was good enough, like I was worthy. And so I just felt like I had to prove that to other people. And it never really got me anywhere. I never made healthy friendships with this type of mindset. It actually wasn't until I started falling back. It wasn't until I stopped trying to prove loyalty and prove kindness to people where I started to become the most happiest. I think a lot of times when we're trying to prove things to people, we end up performing. And being performative is extremely draining. It is draining. And people will act like it's not. It is extremely draining because you can only wear that mask for so long. Eventually, it's going to fall off, right? And who you really are is going to show. And, me trying to perform for people, basically, when the mask would slip, it would just show that I'm insecure. It would just show that I'm not comfortable with who I am and I don't think I'm enough for people. And so I noticed that would allow people to feel like they could take advantage of it, right? I'm showing them my cards. I'm showing them my hand. I'm showing them I really need this friendship so that I can feel better about myself. So please give me this friendship, right? And, people would pretend to be my friend and they would use me or disrespect me because they knew I wasn't going anywhere because I needed external validation. People can always read you. You may not believe that unless someone is just extremely naive. I feel like a lot of people can read you. They can get an understanding of who you are the more that you talk. It happens with everybody. And so, and I'm not sitting here saying that it's their fault. It's my fault because I couldn't sit with self. But when you get out of that mindset, when you start being comfortable with who you are and you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to people, you don't need to prove that you're worthy of friendship, you don't need to prove that you're successful, you don't need to prove that you're a good person, right? When you get out of that, it's extremely freeing because now you can just be who you want to be. You can be your true, authentic self. You can be at peace, and then you get comfortable with accepting the fact that you're not for everybody. That was something that I had a hard time with for years. It's okay not to be everybody's cup of tea. It's okay if everybody doesn't like you. I don't think everybody's supposed to like everybody anyways, And I didn't understand that back then, but the older I get, I understand it now. You're not meant for everybody. And you do not have to perform for friendships. The only thing that you're supposed to do is just show up as you are, right? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that there aren't things that you can work on to be a better friend or that you can work on to be a better person, of course. Like, I don't think anyone is perfect. We all have things that we can improve on, but you don't have to perform for friendship. You don't have to people please for friendship. You don't have to overextend for friendship. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. And the people who are meant to be around you, the people who are meant to have access to you, they will accept you as who you are. They will accept you and they will embrace you. They will support you and they will love you without you having to perform for it. The people who you have to perform for, the people you have to prove things to, are most of the time people who really shouldn't be in your life in the first place. You're trying to force something to work that's just not working. I did that all the time. I would try to force friendships and, reflecting back, I don't really believe we were ever supposed to be friends in the first place, or just not for an extended period of time. And these friendships that I had, they served their purpose in those moments. It wasn't all bad. We would have fun. We could go out together, have a good laugh, have a good drink, have good conversations. But it wasn't something that was meant to be long term. It was just for the now. And that's okay too. But feeling like you have to prove yourself, I want you to ask yourself, how does that really make you feel? It's draining, at least for myself. I can't speak for you, but for myself, it's draining, especially when I was doing the people pleasing. Because when you people please, it's not that you mind doing favors for people. It's just the things that you're people pleasing with. These aren't things that you really want to do in the first place. It's one thing to do something for someone because you just genuinely want to do it, right? Like maybe someone is inviting you to their birthday party and you genuinely want to go. Okay, well, that's not people pleasing. People pleasing is when you don't want to do the thing that people are asking you to do, but you say yes to it to keep the peace. And I learned that when you do that, you're only keeping the peace with them. You're not keeping it within yourself because, you're saying yes so that you guys don't argue or so they don't think that you're a bad person. But deep down inside, maybe you don't want to do it because you're tired. Maybe you don't want to do it because you just don't want to, right? Whatever the reason is, that's not keeping the peace within you. That's actually building up resentment because if they don't do something for you that you want them to do, if they tell you no, you're going to be mad. You're going to be mad. You're going to be mad at them, but in reality, you should be mad at yourself because you don't have to keep saying yes to people either. It's very performative. It's trying to prove something, and you don't need to do that. I remember when I quit my 9 to 5, everyone that I knew called me stupid, and not even just because of the business that I chose to do. They just called me stupid because I was leaving a stable 9 to 5. I was leaving my health insurance. I was leaving my PTO. I was leaving my 401k savings plans, right? I was leaving all of these benefits. I was leaving my salary. And so that's why people thought I was stupid, because of that, right? And because I was in the mindset back then of I have to prove things to people, well, when my online business started making money, I felt like I had to prove to people that it wasn't a stupid decision. So I would always tell people how much money I'm making. I would post about it on Facebook. And back then, my Facebook was just people that I knew. It was people I went to college with, people I went to high school with, people that I worked with at some point in time. It's all people that I knew or had some type of interaction with, or a friend of a friend type of thing. And so I had to prove that I'm successful. I had to prove that me quitting my job was the best thing I could have ever done because look at how much money I'm making, right? It's very performative. But the reason why I felt like I had to do that was because I was insecure. And it was because at that time I still needed external validation. And now I don't do any of that. I don't care what people think about me. You can think I'm broke. You can think that I made the stupid decision. I don't really care what you think. I don't talk about how much money I make anymore. I might give a roundabout, but I don't post about it like how I used to. I don't even post on that Facebook. The only Facebook account that I post on now is my business account. I don't feel the need to show how successful I am. People don't know what kind of car I drive. People don't know, what my apartment looks like, I don't think. People don't know anything about my personal life anymore. And it's been so much more peaceful because I don't feel like I have to prove anything to anybody. I can finally be my authentic self And one thing I learned about myself is I'm actually a very private person. Never realized that before. And again, I don't know if this just comes with age or if this comes from lived experience, but I don't feel the need to prove anything. You know, if you think the business idea that I have is immoral or stupid, then you're allowed to feel that way. I don't have to prove to you that you're right or that you're wrong. You're allowed to feel how you feel, and I'm allowed to feel how I feel. And as long as we respect each other in the process, it's cool. But that's because I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm comfortable with who I am. I've gotten to a point in my life where, you know, I accept me as me, and I understand that the people who are for me will love me, and the people who aren't won't, and that's okay. That's life. But I wanted to make this video for you because if you're struggling with that, it's because you're insecure. There's something about you that maybe you're not happy with. I know for myself, well, there were so many things I wasn't happy with. But I think as far as that aspect of my life, having to prove friendship or having to prove that I'm worthy of friendships, having to prove that I'm a good person, a nice person, whatever, I think a lot of that stemmed from the insecurities of just feeling like I was never enough for people. But the reason why I never felt like I was enough for others was because I didn't think I was enough for myself. We all project. Okay, so a lot of times if someone's treating you a certain way, that's because it's how they feel about themselves. Well, the reason why I felt like I had to prove myself is because I never proved myself to myself. So that's why I felt like I had to prove myself to other people. And that's just because, you know, back then I wasn't really doing anything that I wanted to do. I never accomplished things that I wanted to accomplish. Like I accomplished things, but it wasn't necessarily things that I wanted. You know, I've said in other videos, pretty much all the way up until like my mid-20s, I was always doing the things that my family wanted me to do. And these weren't bad things. Like I went to college, but I don't think I genuinely wanted to go. I think it was something that my mom and my grandma told me that I need to do, right? And I did it. And these things weren't bad things. It just wasn't things that I personally genuinely wanted to do because I wanted to do them. It was something that someone else told me to do, right? You know, and so for the longest time, because I was living like that, I never got to do something for myself that I wanted to do. I might have tried it, but I didn't have the discipline to follow it through, right? I had a lot of broken promises to myself, basically. But now I do what I want to do. Whatever accomplishment I want to have, I do it because I genuinely want to do it. I have the discipline now to follow through with whatever I set out to do. And so because I've proven to myself that I am worthy of success, I am worthy of love, I am worthy of friendships, well, I no longer feel the need to perform that and prove that to other people. You know what I mean? I went to counseling, I healed my trauma, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on friendships. I'm comfortable with sitting with self, and because I'm comfortable with myself now, I don't feel the need to overextend to other people. I don't feel the need to prove that I'm worthy of friendships, right? And so if that is something that you're struggling with, most of the time it's because you're insecure about something. So you need to figure out what that insecurity is, and then how can you fix it within yourself so that you don't feel like you have to keep proving yourself. Because I'm here to tell you, you are enough. There's nothing wrong with improving who you are, but you don't have to prove who you are to other people. You don't have to perform for friendships. You don't have to perform for love. You don't have to people please. You can tell people no. You can be your true authentic self. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to read what you have to say. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do not forget to join the Patreon. The link is down below in my description, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.